Yes, man, you are audible. You can carry on. You can.
Yeah, we'll wait for
Yeah,
five
we'll
more
wait for
minutes.
2 more minutes.
Yes, yes. Amalesh,
Yeah, hi, good morning.
good morning. So we'll start the class today. Before going into the class, we'll see what we had discussed in our previous sessions. Uh, Coming to the Linux class, we had discussed about the Linux. What is the Linux kernel? And let me share my screen.
Okay.
Hope you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we had discussed the Linux introduction. So what is a Linux and what is the difference between Linux and Windows? Why we use most of the companies, why we use Linux, and why it is so secure. Linux is so secure compared to Windows, and even in the Mac OS and coming to the Linux. Coming to the mobiles, we use Linux, right? OS, the operating system is Linux. So why we use Linux and what are the major distributions in Linux? So what are the distributions in the sense what are the kind of Unix OS are available in the market? So those are called the distributions. And what are the main components in the Linux? For example, we had discussed about hardware, kernel, and user space. And we had discussed about the components of the Linux. Components in the sense, what are the main components coming to kernel? What is a kernel? And what is a shell? How do you log into the shell? And after logging to the shell, when you give a command, what will happen in the backend? And what are the main responsibilities of the kernel? So these all things we had discussed in our previous class. So those who have not attended the previous class, do you have any doubts or do you want me to reiterate on any of the specific topic? So do you want me to touch base on any topic or do you want me to go ahead and open the Linux operating system and you want me to execute some commands, some basic commands. So what do you want me to do? So it's up to you people. So Ramu and Malesh and Rajiv.
Yeah, for me, is it okay? It's okay. You can go ahead with the basic commands because I know all these things. Oops. So whatever
Okay.
discussed, right? So I'm okay with that one. So you can go ahead with the basic command.
Okay. So do you have AWS account in your, have you installed AWS, I mean, do you have AWS account? You people have AWS account?
Yeah, right now I don't have actually to do, but I didn't get time to install that one. I'll install it soon.
Okay. So we know, right, like AWS account will give free credits and we can use up to $100, right?
Yep,
So we
yep.
can, yeah. So try to open a new AWS account and so try to, I mean, spin up one EC2 instance and you will be able to uh, practice that AWS account, I mean EC2 instance, and you will be able to execute some commands. And so how many like Faisal, Ramu, Rajiv, so you people are having AWS account or uh, you doesn't have, you need to create it. Yeah, Ramu, Rajiv, Faisal.
Hi, I don't have any of those, but I will look into it.
Okay, okay, got it. And so before going into the class, I just want you to, I mean, I just want to discuss one. Recently, I had uh, given one interview. I had given one interview, and the questions asked in that interview, I just want to discuss with you people because so uh, why I want to discuss is see those are the questions. Most of the times, those are the questions will be asked in the interview, and so the first question was, what is a virtual machine? What is a container? So can anyone answer what is a container? Or first, let's speak about virtual machine. What is a virtual machine? Can anyone answer this question? Yeah, I can see audience like Faisal, Kumar, Ranjit. Can anyone answer what is a virtual machine?
It's a software-based computer that runs on physical computing.
Sorry, it's
It,
a
it's a software-based computer that runs the physical what do you call the uh, uh,
Mhm.
physical computer-based operations can be done in that.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone? Ranjit, I think Rajit had told this, right? So Faisal, Ramu, anyone? Just give a guess. It's not required that they has to be correct. Just give just give your guess. That's it. Okay. So I'll tell you what is a virtual machine. So virtual machine is something, it's like an operating system. Okay. And it is created and managed by hypervisor. It's a kind of hypervisor on top of the OS. So you have to mention this hypervisor, the keyword hypervisor. Okay. Then the interviewer will, hypervisor is the main keyword how you will use. Like for example, it's on top of the OS, you will be having an hypervisor. On the hypervisor, I mean, on the bare metal, hypervisor will be there. On the hypervisor, you will be having multiple VMs where on the VMs, you can install the different OS, for example, Linux, Windows. So independent OS you can install, and that is what the VM virtual machines are. Got it. So the interior, for a simple thing, for example, the definition. So what is an hypervisor is something you can say like it's a kind of virtual machine. Okay, it's a virtual machine where it's an independent resources will be running on top of the hypervisor. The OS operating system will be running on the top of the hypervisor, and on the top of on the base machine, hypervisor will be installed. On top of the hypervisor, multiple OS will be running. Got it. So that's how you answer like. So why I'm stressing on more on hypervisor is, so it's a kind of keyword what the interviewer will look at. Got it. On top of the base, you will be having an hypervisor. On top of the hypervisor, you will be having an OS installed. That is different OS. You can install the different OS. For example, if you see AWS EC2 instances, so those are all virtual machines, right? So for example, if you see, let me open this. So let me open this. So these are all virtual machines. On underneath, I mean, I mean, under these all OS, there is an hypervisor, and the under the hypervisor there is an hard kind of physical computer, you can say. For example, CPU, RAM, disk. So on top of CPU, RAM, disk network, physical computer, there is an hypervisor installed on top of the hypervisor. So these all OS has been installed. For example, uh, Amazon Linux, Windows, so Ubuntu. So this all OS has been installed. Got it. So this is how you answer in your interview. So I have seen that people answering, because I have taken the interview and people are saying, so virtual machine is a kind of machine. So they are answering all the theoretical part, but they had missed the core part, that is hypervisor. So without hypervisor, there is no virtual machine, right? So that is what, so hypervisor divides these resources and gives each VM its own share. Got it. So a hypervisor, what it will do, it's a kind of, it will divide and it will give, okay, it's for you. And for example, you have an gated community. Okay. In gated community, in gated community, there are different flats. Okay. Different flats has having a different water connection, right? So and that is how the gated community is having one name, right? So how you enter into the gated community, so that is called hypervisor. So once you enter the hypervisor, once you go into the hypervisor, you will be having different flats, each and different configuration flats and different kind of dimensions and all, right? So that's where these OS are, operating systems are. And inside the operating systems, you can do whatever you want. Inside the home, you can do whatever you want. So that is what the hypervisor is, something kind of gated community gate, right? It's a kind of, it divides the resources, and it will give each of hypervisor, each of the flat, each of the OS different share, like different CPU, different RAM, different disk, and the applications will run independently on the different operating systems. So that is what the virtual machines are. So hope you have everyone understood, right? So now let's speak about, so the containerization. So what is a containerization? So anyone tell me what is a container? Anyone?
Something that you store in?
Sorry?
A container could be something that you can store something in.
Containerization. So what do you mean by, okay, so containerization. So in the DevOps world, what is a containerization or containers? Anyone? Anyone? So let me tell. So containerization is nothing but so it's a kind of package. And for example, you want to so this is a OS, right? This is an operating system. So in this operating system, you want all the applications to be installed, okay? And you want to configure the dependencies. For example, there is an Java application, okay? So web application you can think, or Java application, or for example, you can think there is an application called Crick Tracker. So how many of you are fond of cricket? So there is an Crick Buzz, or you can say WhatsApp. Okay, WhatsApp is an application. So everyone agrees, right? So WhatsApp is an application. So you want that application, like those application, to be built and deployed onto an operating system. Okay, so that consists of, for example, you take it as a you take as a you go to a restaurant. Okay, you order a food. Okay, when you order a food, you get you get the complete biryani. You will not get spices. You will not get, for example, you will not get rice separate, spices separate. You will not salt separate. You will not get like that, right? So you will get a whole package of biryani with consists of spices, rice, everything cooked, and you will get like that. That's a kind of packaging. Like it's a kind of the whole package. So where everything it consists of. So it's a kind of, it consists of spices, it consists of rice, it consists of masala. It consists of what do you want? Uh, it consists of salt, pepper, everything. It consists of. It's a kind of whole package, right? So that is what the containerization is. So containerization is something, the whole package. The codes, library, dependencies, configurations, everything will be packed into one kind of software, and it will be deployed. It can be deployed onto a Kubernetes. So that's onto the Kubernetes or on your laptop, cloud server, whatever it is. So what is a containerization? Containerization, it's a kind of packaging of an application where everything like codes, dependencies, into a single unit. It is like a biryani, right? So it is a single unit. So where your complete application will be packed, including dependencies, everything, and it will be deployed. So that is what the container is. Understood?
Can we say it as a library?
No, library is something different. Libraries are, you will be having only configuration related things, right? Libraries are, what do you mean by library? So for example, for an application, you will be installing some kind of libraries, right? Uh, so those are called libraries. So you want dependencies and to install, like for example, in order to work the libraries, you need the code, the configuration and the code, right? So that is what, so libraries are something, not only libraries, you need all the complete, the configuration, the code, and the application, the main thing, operating system. So for example, if you need, like if you have only libraries, the operating system will not work. right? So it's a kind of complete package, complete, it's a kind of whole package, you can say, bundled into a single unit. I mean, it's a, as I told, the lunchbox, if you can take the lunchbox as well. For example, uh, your meal in the lunchbox, your meal consists of an, for example, you will be having an the some curry and some kind of rice, right? So those are called application plus dependencies. So it can easily you can carry that lunchbox anywhere, right? You can carry that with that I mean, what do we call, when you have a lunchbox, it consists of a whole all rice and curry and papad, everything, right? So you can carry that lunchbox anywhere and you can eat. So you can think of it like this. And in the same way, think of application plus dependencies. So what you can do, this application plus dependencies, all dependencies in the sense libraries, everything. So you can carry this anywhere and you can deploy it irrespective of the environment.
So we can say library is part of it.
Yeah, libraries, dependencies, and configuration code, everything is a part of this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now coming to, so libraries, right? What are the, what do you mean by libraries? So what you are thinking the libraries are? Can you tell me that? What are libraries? I mean, what is a library? So yeah, so you can say, for example, the developers had written a code, okay, and if they want to do it from the scratch, for example, the developer had written a code, and if he wants to bundle under a some, I mean, if he wants to reuse this kind of code anywhere, okay, so that is what the library is. So library is simply like it's a code collection. We can call it as collection, or we can call it as a, I mean, uh, collection of a written code. For example, you take it as a Python. So there are kind of functions, right? So those are called libraries. We can call it as, or um, you need to send a mail for your app. So you can use an email library instead of writing all SMTP code, something like that. Or we have something called in the Python, we have a call as, we have libraries, right? So we have to import the modules. Modules are nothing but libraries. So that is what the libraries are. Okay. So in order to work the libraries, we need to have the code and we need to have the dependencies. We need to have the collections. So these all, so that is, these all the packages consists of an containerization. Okay. So that is what the containers are. So hope everyone understood what are the containers, right? So now let me tell you what is the difference between. So everyone thought of like, I mean, we have two separate entities. One is containers and one is virtual machines, right? So what is the difference between containers and, now I told you what is a container and what is a virtual machine. So now you tell me what is the main difference between containers and virtual machine. Yeah, Ranjit or Ramu, anyone.
Sorry, can you repeat the question once again?
So now you got what are containers and what are virtual machines. So can you tell me what is the difference between both those two, containers and the virtual machines? Tell me one difference what I told. Like for example, yeah, tell me the difference.
In a VM, we have the hardware,
Yeah,
but in a container, we don't.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So that's the first difference we have to, when the interviewer asks, that's the first difference we have to say. For example, the hypervisor in the virtual machine, we have an hypervisor, the hardware hypervisor we have. And coming to the containers, it's a kind of, it's a kind of software, right? So it's a kind of software, and we do not have hardware in that, right? It's a kind of packaging and single unit, lightweight unit. Since it's a kind of software, so you can see the startup time. So startup time will be very less in the containers compared to the virtual machines. Why? In the virtual machines, we have an hardware, right? So for example, you take a software, for example, you take this virtual machine, right? So in order to boot, in order to switch on this virtual machine, it will take, for example, you take 1 minute, 2 minutes, right? And when you compare to containers, it will take fraction of seconds to come up in the sense to start the server, it will take fraction of seconds. Why? It is a software, okay, and it interacts with the hardware. Got it? And coming to the resource, so the resource is very heavy in the virtual machine, and in the containers it is very less because it uses MBs, I can say, and it uses GBs. I mean, since it interacts, so you can correlate what is the difference between virtual machine and the containers once you know the basic concept, right? And yeah, so you can think of an virtual machine is a kind of separate house which has foundation, which has the pillars, everything, which has, it's heavy but isolated, right? Containers are something kind of, it's like a flat in an apartment. So it shares the same wall, and it's get isolated, just isolated, and it's efficient, it's fast. So it shares the same base, same kind of same base, and it will have multiple flats. So likewise, you can think, right? VMs are a kind of separate house, and the containers are kind of in the same building and separate flats, right? So now we had discussed about why I'm telling you. So why I'm asking, telling you, concentrating on this containerization versus virtual machine is, it's a very important, like this is the first and basic question we can expect in the interview, right? Even in the US or anywhere, this is the first question. So they will ask first, what is containerization? What is virtualization or virtual? What is a virtualization? And they will ask you the virtual machines or virtualization, and they will ask you the difference between virtualization and the containerization. So this is the basic one, because the containerization depends on the Docker, Kubernetes, every concepts are depends on the containerization, right? Virtualization is something we work on EC2 instances. So these are called virtualizations. You can feel the difference, right? What is virtualization and what is the containerization? So, and also I'll tell you one more thing. So virtualization is something, so we will be spinning up, okay? We will be running the commands, and we will be installing some applications and all, right? So containerization is something we just pull the code, we just work on Docker. So Docker is the main thing. What you can correlate, Docker is something kind of containers. So that's how you can correlate the things, right? Okay. So today, let's focus on now some of the basic commands in the Linux. Okay. So I recommend you people to open, I recommend you people to open an AWS account, and whatever I say, for example, whatever I tell you these today, whatever I teach today commands, I request you to go to your, I request you to practice this thoroughly for tomorrow class, so that you will be hands-on, you will get hands-on onto the Linux commands. Okay. So what is this? What is, I had spent just Amazon Linux server. So this is an Linux server. So it consists of an OS called Amazon Linux. So what is an Amazon Linux? Linux is, so here you can see he had taken the Linux. Linux is the base. Okay. If you can see Red Hat Linux, they will call, and they will call Red Hat SUSE Linux, and they will call Debian, Ubuntu, in the backend Mac OS. These are all kind of backend is Linux. So what is a Linux? So I'll just touch base on what is a Linux. Okay. So Linux is a kind of operating system. And operating system in the sense, for example, if you can, I mean, you can correlate operating system with the Windows. Okay. It's a kind of same operating system, but it's an open source. Linux is an open source. It got derived from the Unix. Got it. So Unix is a kind of parent. Okay. So let me tell you one. So yeah. So Unix is a kind of parent, and from the Unix, so these people, for example, Amazon Linux has took the code from Unix and he had modified and he had named it as Amazon Linux. For example, Jenkins is an open source. Kubernetes is an open source. How did Kubernetes uh, born, or how did Kubernetes got invented? How did, what is the fundamentals of Kubernetes? Can anyone answer that? Anyone? How did Kubernetes got uh, derived, or how did Kubernetes came into the picture? What are the fundamentals of Kubernetes? Can anyone? I can see multiple people had joined. Yeah, Shiva or Ranjit. Anyone? How did, so we'll speak, we are speaking about Kubernetes, Docker, everything. So what are, how did Kubernetes, evolve, we can say? Yeah, anyone? Faisal, Kasturi, Madhavi, uh, yeah, Ranjit, Shiva. So come on, if you can answer anything, like, I mean, there is nothing wrong in answering the questions, right? So you can answer any, whatever you know, you can answer. No?
Is it used for deployment purpose?
Yes, yes. Kubernetes is something used for deployment purpose, and it's a kind of clusters we can think of. So Kubernetes are, okay. So since we haven't discussed about Kubernetes, okay. So Kubernetes is something, it's a kind of, if you see Docker, it's a kind of containerization we are speaking, right? So if we want multiple containers to be managed, so that is where the Kubernetes comes into the picture. All right. It's a kind of orchestration tool. I mean, it's a kind of, uh, Kubernetes is a kind of cluster we can think of. Okay. We can discuss in the later. So the DevOps runs behind this Linux, right? So, and even the containers has been built upon the Linux, right? Since it's an open source, the main difference between the open source and the Windows and the Linux is, as I told, it's an open source and it is fast and it's a multi-user. For example, I have opened this terminal. So under this user, you can also use this IP. You can also use this user, and you can log in. You can log in. It's a kind of multi-user. What we call it as a multi-user. So for example, if you type a command called top, so you can see here how many users has been logged in and what are the process has been running. If you can see, it called as a multi-process, multi-user, right? And also, for example, you keep the Windows like it, you switch on the Windows and you switch on the Linux, right? And you switch it on, and you go for a vacation or somewhere, and you come back. And in the Windows, if you do like this, it will go somewhere. The browser, the cursor will go somewhere, right? It will go into the hung state. It will act very weirdly. But coming to the Linux, it's very fast. When you enter like this, it's a kind of it's very fast and it's very accurate, and it will not get stuck. How many days if you leave it like this, it will not get stuck, or it will not go into the hung state. Why? That's the reason why people use Linux and compared to Windows. And for example, if you get any issues, for example, if you have any issues in the OS operating system, what do? You will reach out, for example, in the Windows. If you have any issues, what do? Yeah, if you have any issues in the Windows operating system, what do?
We reinstall the OS.
Exactly. So that's where, in the Linux, it's a kind of we can do on our own, and we can resolve on our own, right? So that's the main difference between Linux and Windows. Okay. So now let's discuss on the basic commands in the Linux, right? So first thing, in any interview, for example, in any the basic question. So how do you check the Red Hat version? What is the version you are working on? For example, what is a uh, if they want you to know, if the interviewer wants to know that you are real time or not, you are real time in the sense, ha, did this guy work really on the servers, or he had just told that he has worked on? So how come? How does he know that? Does he really worked or not? So he can ask, what are the versions you have worked on, right? So you can say there are, in the Red Hat, you can say that I had worked on 6, 7, and 8. Red Hat 6 and 7 and 8 I had worked on. Those are the versions I had worked on, and the 10 is the latest version. Okay, and you can say up to 8. And so how can we know that which version is, once you log in, how can you know which version is the Linux, right? So you can enter the command, right? uname. So you can see it's a Linux. So first thing you got to know, it's a Linux. Okay. cat etc red hat cat etc. As I told, /etc is a kind of, so /etc is something kind of all the configurations in the Linux will be there. And what is a cat? What do you mean by cat? So I'll tell you. If you want to, there are, as I told, complete Linux is a kind of file system hierarchy. So everything is a file. So for example, I'm running this command. So for example, the first thing what I'll do is uname. Uname is something kind of, what is the Linux, what is the version? What not version? What is the OS you are running on? So in order to get that, will execute, this is the command. So as I told, this everything is a file, okay? So these all files are kind of scripts, executable scripts. Got it? So for example, if I go, executable scripts are saved under /bin. Okay. I think I have told you this file system hierarchy, or I have told you this, right? If you, you can go back to the recordings and uh, you can just listen what I have told. For example, I have told these all things like what is /bin, /has been, /etc, and /home. So these and all kind of configuration file system hierarchy, we can say, right? So you can just go through these all recordings we have in the backlog, and you can go through these recordings and you can just practice this. Okay. And so as I told, everything is a file. Everything in the Linux is a file. That is the reason in order to hack the Linux system is very difficult. For example, uh, if you want to hack an Windows, so easily you can push one application and you can just click on double click and that's it. That virus gets installed. And how can you do that in the Linux? You cannot do that, right? You have to create a script, and you have to change the you have to give the script the executable permissions. And once you give the permissions, you have to execute that script. So these all things are, these all scripts are followed, right? Like you have to create a script. That's a big headache. And also, why Windows is more vulnerable compared to Linux, right? So why do you feel that Windows is more vulnerable? Vulnerable in the sense Windows is more prone to virus. And for example, recently there is an Windows. So many of Windows users got affected because of this ransomware. How many of you heard about this ransomware virus? Did anyone heard about this ransomware? Has anyone?
Yeah, I heard about this, but don't know much.
Okay, so ransomware is a kind of, so it's recently it happened, the ransomware attack. So it's a kind of like the total, it will not allow you to log in. For example, there is I'm using like this, okay? Suddenly the ransomware attacks will happen and I'm not able to log in to my Windows. And once I open the Windows, what will happen? So it will ask the money. Okay, in order to access your files and your files, they will charge you some money. Then only you can access some of the files, your own file. That is what the ransomware attack was. So in order to access your own personal files or personal system, they will ask you the money. For example, uh, you have some important data in your system, and they will hack that using ransomware, and you will not be able to access your system, and you need that data. What you will do, you will pay them some amount to what they will ask. It's a kind of kidnapping, right? What it They will kidnap and they will they will ask some money, and if you give them some money, and they will release that. That is the same as ransomware. So they will hack your computer, they will ask some money, and once you pay them the money in the kind of bitcoins or cryptocurrency, and they will release that, and you will be you will access your files as it is, as usual. So that's where the ransomware was, right? So all in the ransomware, if you can see, most of the companies got affected. Only the Windows people have got affected due to this ransomware. And for example, if you see the terrorists, so do you see terrorists targeting the rural areas or the urban areas? The large crowded areas they will target, or the people who, the villages, or like the isolated places, whom they target? Like whom will they target? Can anyone tell?
Common people.
Yeah, common people and the common people. So will they target the larger audience? Larger audience in the sense, so many people at a when they gather, they will target those people, or they will target the people who are less crowded, or uh, the isolated places. Where will they target?
Where large gather.
Exactly. So you can see, right? Like, for example, who will use these Windows? How many people will use Windows? How many people will use like this Linux and like this CLI? You can figure it out, right? So large audience, I mean, large group of audience will use Windows. So that's where these attackers also will target easily, and they can get their their goals accomplished. Got it. So now you can feel the difference, right? So now you can feel what is the difference between why people use, most of the people use Linux and most of the people use Windows. I mean, why most of the people in the companies, I can say enterprise versions, will use Linux, right? So
Sorry to disturb you. I have a question here.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in the past, like I think 2 days back, even AWS got affected, right?
yes.
So what went wrong? Is it with the ransomware virus or something else?
So it's because there is an what do we call in the DNS. Have you heard about the DNS?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Right?
Right.
So because of the DNS, like it couldn't find the correct address for the Dynamo API, AWS Dynamo's API. So that's where the cloud database completely stores in the Dynamo API the critical data. So that's where it couldn't find the correct address for the AWS Dynamo's API and Dynamo's DB API. So that's the main purpose. I mean, that's the main reason behind the AWS outage. Uh, what I studied. I mean, what I had gone through the article.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So because of recently maintenance, see, any issues will happen because of the maintenance issues uh, or a server failure, right? After the maintenance issues, what will happen? The server failure will happen. I mean, server failure in the sense, if it is not able to see, for example, as I told, like if it is not able to find the correct DNS patch, DNS fix doesn't happen. So that's where these kind of I mean problems will happen. I don't think so. It's because of ransomware. Have you studied about? Have you studied anywhere due to this ransomware?
No, no, no. I've not studied, but I just want to know why it has.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. No, not because of this ransomware. Due to this, the main thing is the DNS. Because of the DNS, where it couldn't find the correct address for, DynamoDB API. So that's where this outage has been happened, right?
Thank you.
Yeah. So that is one thing. And see, people speak about the AI and all. Did AI stop this outage? Who has fixed this outage? Did AI fix this outage?
No, no,
No, right? So
no.
the people, the human has to fix it. Human has to maintain these systems. Human has to do this, right? So people speak about this AI and all. So, and I must tell you one thing. So almost every company, 95% of the companies are still in the testing phase. And if you ask anyone about the rate of interest, ROI, so if you ask, for example, in your companies also, they speak about AIs and all. If you speak, I mean, if you stand and if you ask, what is the ROI you are expecting at the end of your goal and end of your achievement or end of your target, they will not have any answer. And even the AI also, the AI, it's very costly. The tokens are very costly. It's not like it's not like how you use the chat GPT. You use the chat GPT, you will get all the answers. It's not like that. When you use it for your own, when you use it for a commercial purpose, you need to use it as a token. For example, how you use the AI? You take that API and you call that API, and you will get the response. That response will be calculated as a tokens, and that tokens are pretty costlier. The tokens are much costlier, right? Those are why people are investing is kind of say he is investing and I will invest. That company is going much bigger and they are achieving so fast, and I'll do that. I'll follow. And I'll tell you one thing. Most of the people in the sense, every company follows Amazon. FANG companies, for example, Google, Facebook, Meta, Google, Meta, Amazon. So these all small companies, for example, you take banks or you take any company, these companies will follow those patterns. For example, you take SRE. How did SRE came? Site reliability engineer. Who has invented that? Google has Google has invented that SRE term, SRE, site reliability engineer. And SRE, that's how the SRE, these all people had followed that SRE, and even they have the requirement or even they doesn't have the requirement, they just follow them. Right? And you can see they will be having, for example, coming to the layoffs, right? So you can see the layoffs, they are like the first thing in the market. Who started the layoffs? Can anyone tell me? Like, who started the layoffs? Who has initiated the first layoff?
Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft. And after that, Meta and these. So these people will follow those people. These small companies will follow those because they will. Microsoft, Google, they are having some prediction models, like kind of forecasting models, we can say. So based on the forecasting models, they will reduce their they will reduce their human resource, or they will reduce their people, and these people will follow them and they will reduce. These people will just follow them. That's it. And what happens is, I'll tell you, the CEOs or CTOs, they will do a visit to all the big companies and they will have discussions with all the big companies. For example, Google, Microsoft. They will view the hierarchy, or they will go and they will observe their catalog, we can say. They will observe their working style and all, and they will try to implement in our work culture. Most of the companies will do the same thing, you know. And yeah, upgrading is something. See, for example, if we need to upgrade to the next level, for example, SRE, or if we have to upgrade to uh, MLOps, that's not a harm. But not upgrading is something. It's a kind of when you speak with your colleagues, or when you want to switch your company, you want to go with the AWS DevOps. It doesn't weightage at all. You will not get a calls at all. You will not get calls, or you will not. You can keep your resume with AWS DevOps and Linux. For example, 10 years back or 6 years back. I'm from the from the Linux admin. You know, I used to have only on the Linux. I do not have any cloud or anything. I have only on the Linux in my resume. In previous, as I told, like in 6 years back, what I used to do is, like, I used to keep Linux, Solaris, HP, Unix. See, these are all kind of flavors market used to see, and I used to get multiple calls. That's how I used to keep in my resume Linux, Solaris. So different kind of flavors of Linux I used to keep, right, in order to get the calls. So after couple of years, uh, the calls has been drastically reduced. I I haven't got one call also. So then I had upgraded my resume to AWS and DevOps. And again, I got multiple calls. I have cracked AWS DevOps and I have gone through that. And now if you see in US or any of the market, if you doesn't keep SRE in your resume, if you don't keep SRE in your resume, that doesn't weightage at all. I mean, it became like 60% people are looking into the SRE, right? And after the SRE, now the market is shifting to MLOps. So this is the right time. Why I'm telling you is this is the right time for you people to catch hold of MLOps. And once you go to the MLOps, till after 5 years, I mean, till 5 years, I can say, till 5 years, you no need to look back to your uh, look back at your career. Why I'm telling you 5 years is, see, normally one technology, for example, Linux, you can say it 10 years we used to think 10 years, okay, 10 years we can around say, I mean, happily we can say like that we used to think. And after cloud we got cloud also we used to think like 10 years like that. But now it has been shifted. I mean, the technology is changing rapidly, right? For example, when 1 year back, they used to call it as Gen A. And once the Gen A is done, they told agentic AI. Now people are saying after agentic AI, double agentic AI. See how I mean, uh, how the transformation or how it is getting changed, right? How the technology is growing so fast, or I mean, how the technology is changing, and people who doesn't know the basics of the MLOps, ML or AI, so you will be in the backward. I mean, you will not be able to sustain your career, or you will not be able to continue your long-term growth, right? So now if you can see in everywhere, everyone, people are speaking about this AI, ML, and these MLOps, AI ops. So, and you will see in the coming days, I'll tell you for sure, in the coming days, you will see number of openings for AI ops or ML ops. So you just make a note and you will see number of openings, right? And this is the right time for us to crack those ML ops or AI ops interviews, because everyone will be a kind of fresh people and they will be kind of with a limited knowledge, I can say, and easily you can crack the interview. They will ask you the basics, or they will ask you how this model works or how that model works, and what do you do the integration, how do you do the integration. So they will ask you the basic questions, and they will easily you can crack the interview, and you can enter. Once you enter the company, and once you enter the workspace, I can say, once you enter the project onto the ML ops or AI ops, so you will be get habituated, and you will become an ML ops engineer, and see your career will be upheld, and your career will start growing from there. Got it? So
Sorry to interrupt you here.
yeah,
As one company started, the other companies are implementing the same thing,
exactly. So that's what happening, right? So one company, for example, if you take the banks,
right?
uh, for example, JP Morgan, or they now, if you can see, they're everywhere. They are having a ratings kind of who are using top AA, or who are using projects on AML, which bank is doing, which bank is ahead of AML projects, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, so that's how the competition between the banks, even between the technology companies, for example. So if you see, there are ratings and they want to come to the top position. That, for example, if you take about service based companies, so if they showcase that I am very good at it, then
Okay.
only they are going to get the projects, or then only they are going to get the customers, then only they are going to get, okay, these people are using the latest technologies and latest, I mean, they're way ahead of remaining companies. and we should look at them. So that's how the companies will think, right? In the consumers, like in the kind of customers perspective. For example, you are there. For example, we are there. Okay. So do you go to the kind of, what do we call, take a shopping mall or take as a kind of DMart, DMart, all right. So
Right,
you
right.
know something kind of big, shopping mall or something, right? So you go to that one, or you go to the some small, which one kind of pawn shop or something. You want to purchase something. Uh, where do you go? Where do you look at it?
I normally look at with the good quality and the price is
Exactly.
less.
The marketing, right?
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
could, people look at the marketing strategies and they will look at, okay, these people are so ahead of the compared, way ahead of remaining people, and we will go to them, right? So that
Mhm.
is how the, companies are looking, and companies are chasing for to get into the top position. And that's where they are they are insisting everyone they're insisting everyone to do some kind of POCs, kind of proof of concepts in their companies, and they want to showcase that, yeah, we are top ahead. We are ahead of all the people.
Okay. So regarding the MLOps, how do you rate as of now, right now, how many companies or what is the percentage of hiring?
So I can say, like, for example, there are top companies. I can say Nvidia, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, as of now, I can see uh, yeah. So there are like Dell, I think, Bosch, and there are some other. Nvidia is the main company which is looking for only for MLOps, and Bosch also, and Siemens. So there are so many companies started looking for these MLOps engineers, right? For
Okay.
example, Deutsche Bank, and so these are some of the companies I had looked into it. Looked into it in the sense, recently I have got the notifications regarding these companies who are looking for MLOps. And there are so many other companies. For example, service-based, you can say Tech Mahindra, Wipro,
Mm-hmm.
almost service-based companies all are looking for MLOps, DXC, or we can say Genpact. So these are all service-based companies are looking for kind of MLOps engineers, and they started it. They
Yeah,
started.
so here the person who's having machine learning skills, if he updates himself to the cloud, so can he be considered as a MLOps engineer? Or
Exactly.
yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, he can. He can. So
Oh,
MLOps consists of an only not only on the cloud, and also the deployments.
mm-hmm.
So for example, there is an Argo CD. For example, you speak about Kubernetes. So how do you deploy it? After the deploying it, how do you view that deployment consistency? Deployment consistency in the sense, how do you, uh, using SRE methodologies, how do you make track the accuracy, latency, and availability of that application, right? So these all, the bundle comes under this MLOps. MLOps is something you do the deployment from the end to end, right? And you manage the data redundancy models and all. So if you learn about all these technologies like SRE methodologies and deployments, and the how do you deploy the ML models, so these all consist of these MLOps.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And since you asked, we can see, like how many opportunities we have in the, for example, how many opportunities we have for the MLOps, right?
Right.
Let me. So let me check here in the. Jobs.
Are you sharing anything or?
Yes, yes. I'm opening the LinkedIn and I'm just showing it. So
So I have a question.
yeah.
So what is a differentiator when you say MLOps? The things which you are mentioning about DevOps, Kubernetes,
Yeah.
containerization, those are the standard stuff. But what is MLOps, meaning what is the ML portion, how it's applied to these technologies?
So, for example, we have some machine learning models, right? So machine learning models like kind of data retraining and so that retraining models will be deployed onto the Kubernetes, right? For example, you take as a application. So what do you do? The application, we do the deployment and we monitor them, right? And in the same way, the ML, there are some kind of MLOps, ML models we can say, right? And so in the AWS, we have some of the ML models, kind of SageMaker we have, and we have kind of decision tree models, random forest and linear regressions models. So these all models, what we will discuss in the class and how we deploy them using the AWS SageMaker or using AWS services or Azure services. What are the AWS or Azure services they use in the ML, what they use and how do they deploy onto the production environments and how do they monitor those models. So these all things we will be discussing.
And in machine learning, there is one more topic. What I'd say is the pattern recognition.
Yes, yes, yes.
That is taking the market for the what do you call
And
the
you speak
e-commerce.
about MCPs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Recently. So how do these models maintain the MCPs? Like MCPs are kind of like serve the kind of holistic overview of how they maintain these all things. So these all things we are going to discuss, and also, for example, we are going to do the governance. For example, model governance. For example, which is um, using some of the tools and for example secrets managements and we do the data drifts and drift monitoring we do and so yeah, these and all the things we discuss and yeah, and we have Kubeflow uh, and we have something data version control like Lake FS we have, which we use in the mlflow, and we use mlflow to track, as I told, versioning. And so these are some of which are related to the MLOps. I mean MLOps in the sense which are related to build the model, training them and deploying them and maintaining them. So it's complete end-to-end monitoring and end-to-end observability and end-to-end doing the productionized an application. So that's what we are going to discuss in this class. Like,
So I have a question.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm working as a data analyst, so this MLOps, is it related to this data analyst or it is different? Like if I say data analyst, after that I can go for data engineer or data science like this.
Yes.
Is it MLOps is related to this or it is a part of or it is a different part?
No, it's the same part. For example, if you want to see in the company, what do you do? So you need to I mean, you need to take care of the end-to-end application deployment, right? So, for example, what are your roles and responsibilities? You tell me that. Coming to the data engineering.
Yeah, so for data engineering, like the most of the thing, like they have to gather the data, they have to build the pipelines, they have to transform the data, like they have to make ready the data to build the report. These are the most of the things they have to do.
Okay. So now coming to your part. So what you can do is like, I mean, once you build the data, you need them to deploy, right? So what do? You do the data collection, transformation, and you do the storage, right? So coming to the MLOps, what is like you deliver the model training and the deployment, automation, and the monitoring. So that's where, so you build for example, simply you can relate like this. You build the highway for your data, right? So MLOps engineer is a kind of like, they drive the ML models on those highways. So in that pathway.
Mhm.
So they are part of, I mean, they are two in the same ecosystem. Like they are part of the, those two are part of the same ecosystem, I can say. For example, you are building ETL. What are your, I mean, what technologies you're using? You're using ETL pipelines or something like Airflow or something like that?
Yeah, so most of the thing like I'm using in Fabric, Microsoft Fabric and Azure, building
Data
pipelines.
snowflakes
Yeah.
and all, right?
Hmm.
Right. So how it fits into the MLOps is like kind of like it stores and train the data, your source data for ML models, and that's where uh, you can relate it. Kind of like the data ingestion, and it's a kind of the ML lifecycle. I think I had told you in the I had told you in previous classes, I think so. So it's a kind of like we have ML. There are life cycles in the ML, like a kind of data ingestion, like a pre-processing stage, and then it stores, and then it enables the real-time monitoring, where real-time monitoring we use Kafka, right? So you will be learning about end-to-end. So now you are taking care of only the data storage or ETL pipelines. So after you learn MLOps, you will be able to deploy them, and you will be able to do the CI/CD pipelines, and it's a kind of complete architect kind of thing what you do. So yeah, so 60 to 70% of uh, what data engineers do, like pipeline building, scheduling, automations. So these all things will be covered for data engineers people. Like coming to only the deployment, I think so. The MLOps will deployment and reliability, checking the reliability. So those two things will be checking under MLOps.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And we will be learning about, as I told, we will be learning about the Kubeflow, MLflow, and DVC, I think so. So those are some of the tools we are going to learn, and which are related to AWS and which are related to Azure, where they use ML related um, models, we can say ML related services, we can call it as. So those things we will be touch basing on, we will be learning about that as well.
Sorry, I need to leave because of some work.
Yep, yep. Yeah, Ranjit.
Thank you. Thank you.
So any questions?
As of now, I'm good.
Yep. Thank you, Ranjit.
Yeah,
Yep.
for that answer, like the relatable subjects are something you asking, right? Data engineering and data analytics. So nowadays, companies are expecting multi-skills one person. Example, the same CI/CD pipelines now we are teaching for data engineers also. Maybe you are already aware, right? So who asked this question?
Yeah, Narayan.
Narayana. Yeah, Narayana. So you are already into the data engineering course, right? You know, right? CI/CD pipelines and all the data ops concepts. It's not a part of data engineering earlier. So recently we started teaching for that also. Right? Similar way, companies are expecting all the skills from one person. So that's the reason that MLOps concepts came to the picture now. So companies' expectation is becoming very huge. For who are already data engineers, for them, for sure, it will help these MLOps concepts. In future, you can move to the data science side. Still, MLOps will help you. This DevOps concepts to know each and every concept. When your experience is increasing, it will help you to get a better opportunities. From career point of view, technically how it will be integrated and all, your trainer will take care. But what I am observing from the current market situation, who are already working in data science or data analysts, from them they are expecting DevOps concepts also.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So technically, how it will help us, I can able to clarify here. Technically, how they both are integrating, your trainer will take care. My perspective will be how to get better opportunities, better package, and how to sustain in the jobs now. Because now skills are reducing, companies are also forcing them to resign or else they're throwing them out when they are paying more and with less skills candidates, particularly, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Any questions, team?
Any questions?
Guys, anyone have any other questions? Hope you are good, right? Yeah, sorry, you can carry on.
Yeah, if no questions, we can wind it up here. So tomorrow we are going to discuss the basic Linux commands, which we are discussing now, and we'll discuss tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good
Team,
day.
if you have any questions, you can approach our team. Kumar and Faisal, we don't have your contact information. If possible, you can text us. So our team can touch with you if you need any additional information, course curriculum, or else fee structure or something. You can approach us. Okay. So Satish and Sucharita, these two people, you can approach them. They are in all groups. Thank you.